Hello and welcome back to part 9 of the Corvette Video Restoration Diary series thing. In the last episode, it was all about getting to and testing the electrical stuff in the center console. And now that I have most of the electrical stuff sorted out, I need to get to the actual skeleton itself. So that way I can mount all the electrical switches and connections that I got kind of sorted out. I want to thank all you guys for hanging out with me on the C4 adventure so far. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and all that fun YouTube jazz. So this episode is all about plastic welding. I've been getting better at plastic welding over the years, and mainly I've been practicing on my Bravada, but now I need to do some serious work on the C4. So why is it called plastic welding? Well, just like regular welding, you're making a puddle out of two different materials, so it's one puddle now, and you let that puddle cool down. Once they cool down, they're one single piece of plastic again. Now that's a huge oversimplification of it, but plastic welding should bond better than regular glue if done correctly. I've been slowly getting better at plastic welding over the years. The main thing I've learned is to use a small iron and to use the correct plastic. If you have one of these Harbor Freight plastic weld kits, just throw it away. The iron in it is way too big, and it might even be too hot, I don't know. And the plastic that it comes with isn't even the right plastic that you need in a C4 or any kind of GM vehicle for that matter. So the only good thing about the Harbor Freight plastic weld kit is the wire screen stuff that comes with it, but you don't even need much of that stuff either. The best tool that I've found to use is a normal soldering iron that has an adjustable temperature on it. The temperature I have mine set for is 375 degrees-ish, and I use the biggest, flattest tip that it came with. And it cost me under $10 when I got it back in the mid-2021 timeline. So getting the right kind of iron and setting it up to a good temperature is super important. Also, the correct kind of plastic is very important as well. The Harbor Freight soldering iron says it's for like soft, rubber, bumper kind of plastic. And that's nothing like the plastic on the interior of the car. I know there's an exact name for this kind of plastic on the interior of a C4, but I don't know what it's called. Once you do find out what it's called, you can actually buy things called welding sticks for plastic, and that will be an exact match. So if you do know the name of the plastic that's used inside of our C4s, just let us know in the comments, and that way other people, if they don't have scrap pieces, they can buy the correct kind of plastic filler to use for the job. So what I did instead was I already used a broken piece of plastic from the interior of the car, so that way I know that the plastic would be the correct type. Let's start with a flat and simple example. This is what GM calls a closeout panel or an isolator. I call these like kick panels because they're down by your feet where you kick them. It's the piece that's under your dash where the footwell light is. The whole thing is broken and cracked in several places, and we'll begin by reattaching a corner piece to it. Once you get that broken piece lined up and the iron is heated up, start by pushing the iron down at an angle and then move it over a little bit. You're melting both sides of the plastic at once, and it's really going to be soft for a couple seconds until it cools down. Before it cools down, you move it over a tiny bit and melt some more plastic. It should look like a stitch when it's done. And be careful not to go all the way through the plastic or it's going to look terrible on the other side. Ideally, you want to do both sides when you're plastic welding, but the other side is going to be seen, and I don't want it to look all junked up. Then after you have your stitch going along the crack, The next thing to do is to fill in the low areas of the new weld. You can just do this with the plastic that's already there, but of course I went overkill with it and used a scrap piece of plastic and melted that. And then I worked that melted piece into the low areas, just kind of smoothing it all out. So I'm just knocking down the high spots and getting more of the plastic into that valley. Just follow that technique and you can repair almost any crack. You'll see the crack on the other side, like I said, and if you really want to go crazy, you can put filler on this and paint it. Besides cracks, you can even fill in holes and voids and repair those as well. You'll need some scrap plastic or the correct filler for this, and what I do is I just cut a small piece and get it close to the size that I need. And then I weld the crack on both sides. Once again, this is not a perfect repair from an aesthetic point of view, but it should be pretty good and strong. So try to do that with glue. Bam! The last plastic repair I need to do is on the center console skeleton thing. I have two big issues that I need to fix besides the cracks. I need to fix where the seat switches are mounted, and the mounts for the window switches need to be reinforced as well. To fix both of these issues, the strategy is to fill them up with plastic and then drill new holes. I don't have any pictures of the beginning of this adventure. It's just a lot of plastic being melted to fill up the cracks, and a tiny bit more on the outside to reinforce, especially where the seat switches are going to go. This is what it looked like about halfway done.
All right, so it's the next day. This guy, the hole is square and it fits the switch. One thing I need to be careful of when I'm putting this together is not change the shape of these holes, because these holes are the exact size of the switches. So what I'm going to do now is re-drill these holes in the front, so I'll have a guide, and then I'll fill in the back with all that plastic too, and then I'll have a hole in the top that I'll be able to keep it centered. I need to drill these out, so I need to re-drill these. So that's going to be a little bit more challenging, and same thing, I had a hard time keeping that square the same shape because I did this one first and messed up the shape, and the switch didn't fit in, and I was much more careful on this one, and it's still perfectly fine. So the switches fit really tight inside of there. Put another spot there, so I'll have 4 screws for my cover, for my glove box cover, and I think that's about it. And repair these. A couple of these are more messed up than the others, and the rest of them I could just fix with oversized washers probably. So this is actually getting pretty close. Okay, there's one. Then, self-tapping screw, get it the rest of the size that I need. Okay, that one's good. And that one's good. All right. There we go. So now that looks pretty good on the top, and this will be underneath another cover, so you'll never see this, but heck, that is already way better than it was. And now I'm going to do the same thing on this side, because big crack here and some more cracks underneath it. Just sliding around. I'm just trying to line it up to where the barrel is, where that hole should be. I'm hoping it'll eventually maybe do that and fall in, because I don't know where the hole is. There we go. Haha. Okay, that's exactly what I wanted it to do. Okay, so there we go. Somewhere in there is the hole. Now I'm going to make a little bigger hole. Awesome. cool. There, now it's nice and straight. Okay. Now, just gently self-tapping screw, which is the size as the other ones. And I can always use these instead of those black ones. Perfect. Okay, I don't want to go too far because I'll leave that to the original screw. Okay, there's one side of that done that you can't see because it's not in focus at all. Right on. There you go. Well, that's done. Let's try the same thing on the other side. This one's not as broken. Ah! Okay. So you saw that just happen. Yeah, look at that. That's still the original brake. So this is cracked in here, back in here, and I can't get to that where that crack was. So poo, I'm gonna have to do a better job repairing that. Okay, that one is not fixed. There we go. Now it looks good. Okay, that is repaired. Okay, and you know, here's the switch. So I have to make sure that the switch fits because it's very snug on this side. This side's even looser. So I already, you know, as I was repairing it, I still nicked the sides. So I had to go in here and use the iron and push it out to make it square again. That part's repaired. Now let's fix that crack there and this crack here just by filling that up with goo and then re-drilling on the other side.
More filling in the bottom of the screw hole with plastic and heating it up so it's one solid piece once again. Now I use the top hole as a guide for the drill bit, and the new hole will go all the way through all that new plastic now.
Let's do the other side now. So there's a crack that's going all the way through. There's light literally going through all this up here. So I'm gonna plastic weld the tops of both of these first. So that way I can drill from the back and still have the hole on the top and then do the reverse.
I don't have any footage of me doing that, but it's the same process. You plastic weld the top, get all the cracks fixed, and then drill through the bottom because you have some good pilot holes on the bottom to use. Now let's move on to more mounts.
Now I know this looks just ugly, but no one's ever gonna see this. It's just to retain the screws. So I got these ones started. I'll have to adjust those holes. This one, I kept the hole pretty much the normal size. And that one I only did about 3/4 of it, so this whole side is the original hole and left the rest of it alone. So it looks like everything is gonna work. Fixed that one and stitched it down in there. Same thing down here, I just stitched it once, but the rest of it looks okay. These back ones looked fine. So really, this thing is done. So now the next thing I need to do to it is to get this off. So this is the latch for the glove compartment door. So I'm going to spray paint that and then drill another hole over here to repair it and drill another hole in the bracket. All right, I got the hole drilled for it right here, but there's a crack going along the top of it. There you go, you can see it right there. So I need to reinforce it and get some more surface area in there. So I'm gonna do some plastic welding on that. And then I just need to wire wheel that, spray paint it black, and just stop. Okay, that one's in. So now, the only difference between these and those is see how these are recessed so the bar will go on straight. Those are sticking up slightly higher. But oh well, there's nothing I can do about that. But the layman will never notice that's underneath there. It's all jacked up and there's all these holes from where the guy was trying to screw it into the plastic before and just got worse and worse and worse. So now, this thing is done. And I think what I'm gonna do with these, I'm gonna wire wheel them and then put clear paint on them because I think those are probably supposed to be clear and not painted. And then that's it. This I can say is done. So the center console is done.
Here's what it looks like with the seat bracket now all screwed back in nice and tight. The plastic underneath the bar may look ugly, but who cares? It's one solid piece of plastic that no one will ever see.
All right, this is a monumental moment. I've got the center console thing back in finally, and all the switches are hooked up and working. So these switches, I put these flathead screws on here, these self-tapping flathead things, because they have a big, giant, wide head. You know, like these ones, these actually are having the same problem where they push the plastic apart because they're at an angle. The head is at an angle, so when it's pushing down, it's actually pushing, especially these ones, these are like two forks in the front, it pushes them apart. So this doesn't push it apart, it actually holds it down. So I should probably do the same thing with these two screws, but you know, I just want to get it back together. I also had to take the seat out again because to move, I needed to have this plastic way out here to get this in here underneath. So ideally, you kind of want both seats out and both these pieces of plastic loose, and I'm assuming that's why this is all broken, because someone didn't do that. So that's the better way to do that last time, or next time, is take both these seats out. They're super simple now that I know how to do it. Make sure you put something in the front, you know, if you make sure you don't want to scratch up your car and your dash. They do make this cover to replace it, but you certainly don't want to mess it up if it's nice and original like mine. Okay, and I got all these screws in here now. This is all repaired inside of here. Everything electrical is working, so I'm just going to keep reassembling all this nonsense until she's done. You know, I should have got a better picture of this yesterday when I rebuilt this. So both of these, I'm inside the door here, it's upside down. This is where the windshield wiper switch goes, and this tab broke off yesterday when I was trying to get it in here because the stupid wire is so short that it pulled on it, and this was already cracked and broken, and the front one was completely gone, so it was on its last legs, and I finished breaking it off. But I plastic welded it and created a whole new stand in the front and in the back, because I got all this experience doing that with my that center console skeleton thing. So this, you know, looks terrible and ugly, but it works. So it's a bunch of melted plastic on top of each other with a hole drilled in the middle, and bam, look at that. This has been all re-plastic welded again, and I put a layer of Gorilla Glue over the top of it to fill in even all the rest of these cracks and stuff, and just went to town with it because I'm tired of this breaking. So now hopefully I can get this door panel in.
And it worked! Yay! I did have to use some Gorilla Glue on the door handle bezel, mainly because the Gorilla Glue expands. So I used the plastic weld to hold all the door handle parts together, and then I used some Gorilla Glue and some of the other pieces that I couldn't get to plastic welding. Because Gorilla Glue is meant to be used with clamps, so you clamp it down tight, you put the Gorilla Glue on it, and that stuff expands and gets in all the cracks and stuff. So if you're just trying to glue two pieces together with Gorilla Glue, it doesn't work very well. So the plastic weld held all of it together, and then it filled in the cracks that I couldn't fix with plastic welding. So that's everything that I wanted to cover in this episode. You're probably wondering why I skipped so far ahead and started doing stuff with the door card. That was just the plastic welding part of it. The next episode is gonna be about doors, how to get the door card off, how to get inside of the door, how to take the plate out, and how to adjust the window, and how to stop all of the leaks from coming in-ish. I did a pretty good job of stopping the majority of my leaks, and we'll cover that in the next episode. So make sure you subscribe if you want to keep up to date when the latest episodes are published, and don't forget to make a comment if you have any questions for me. In the meantime, you have a fantastic day, and happy seafaring.